Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go! Hey everybody, it's George the Antique Nomad, and I am in front of one of the most wonderful roadside attractions of pre-interstate America, the Sleep in a Wigwam Motel. This one is in Cave City, Kentucky. There is a Wigwam Motel very similar to this in Arizona. This was a way to get people to stop when they were traveling in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and the reason people would stop here is this is Cave City, Kentucky, and Cave City is right by Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave was the first attraction in the United States deemed worthy of international tourism. People from England and Europe started coming to see it as early as the 1830s. So this is a long-time tourist destination, and it is an antique destination as well. Not everybody is open right now. We're going to make more than one trip to Cave City, but I think we'll just start here where it looks like this place is open. We'll start with a little window shopping. That sometimes gives you a good idea. You can see they obviously have a specialty in lamps. This one with the slag glass base in the green, and then this big facial shade. I think these shades are replacements, which you can order, which is actually helpful. This looks like a place that might have access to lamp parts and things. They also have a lot of really nice Fenton. They were dealing in Fenton back when Fenton was still around, and they have some really beautiful art pieces they had made by Fenton for them to sell here. So we'll take a look. But we go through Paul's Antiques to get there, so we'll just keep going this way. And away we go. Well, we'll do this differently. We'll go upstairs first. A long, narrow corridor, and then we've got some rooms here. Let's see what we find. Nice marble top walnut washstand there, priced at $3.95. I think they may head back towards that vicinity of pricing, but I'm not there yet. Nice old pump organ. These are not easy to sell. There's an interesting thing about them. They're a lot of work to play, is the main reason you have to pump those with your feet to keep the bellows going for it to make the noise. But they had all these different stops, and this one has 11. This was made around 1904. You see they have the seal from the St. Louis World's Fair. If it had more than about 13 of these, the rest of them were just make-believe. They started adding more and more just to make it seem fancy, but they really only could do about 12 or 13 different sound tones. So here is a nice cigar cutter, but it says it's as is. Must be something in the blade. That's too bad because it's only $50. Oh, I see. It's actually the handle is sheared off. That's a shame. That's a nice one otherwise. Louisville stoneware. Little jug. These are really priced well, but they're Deco Revival. They're not really Art Deco. Little Panther lamp. McCoy casting. They want $75. That's full price, but I was not aware that they had done a lamp. This is a nice piece of uranium glass. This is Princess pattern from the 1930s, Depression glass. I like the drop shape of the bottom. It's $47.50. That's about right for that piece. Here's a room full of furniture and some Blue Ridge pottery to boot. I like the way that the wood is shaped on that 1920s or 30s split pediment walnut highboy there. Let's see what's beyond here in the third room. This looks like it's mainly furniture and large items, maybe some seasonal stuff. It's pretty crowded in here, so I'd say that There might be some deals to be had. When a place gets as full as this, they usually start wanting to negotiate a little bit. Well, downstairs is where they have the nice things, and Paul's Antiques is new to me. The adjoining shop that it shares space with is one that's been there since the first time I came here, early in my career. Roseville bookends are nice. Always like that green shade with the snowberries. This double swan vase is a nice deco-looking piece, and this is Hager. You can tell by the finish on the bottom, even if it doesn't have the stamp. When you see ribbons and tassels and hanging elephants, you know that political campaign pins like this Wendell Willkie from 1940 are a little more special. After the war, we started getting these interesting, brightly painted lighters from Japan. This pot scraper is really cool. This is a specialized area of collecting from early kitchens or early advertising. The graphics are always really fun on these. Sorry I can't prevent the glare more, but there is a really cute little bubble pipe from the 1950s made of tin. A really good Hopalong Cassidy nightlight, and that one is hard to find and undamaged like that because that plastic was brittle and the heat from the lamp usually cracked it. And then this is a miniature tractor seat. The Chase and Sanborn coffee bin is a really neat looking piece. These are very popular for people to put in kitchens and use for dry storage today, and they have such a great look. Or if you like the 1950s kitchen, then you can get the Lance display and have all the canister room you could ever want. This is a large Fostoria American piece, this low compote. It's one of the harder ones to find. And then there's a variety of pattern glass up here. These are starker patterns from the 1880s. Dog-licious. Right out of the 50s. This is a really fun graphic on this clock. Should be about 200. These are interesting to me. They're Civilian Conservation Corps. My grandfather actually had to work in Alaska on one side of the family in the CCC. I didn't realize they did very many presentation pieces like this. These old sterilizer cabinets are a favorite of mine, and they usually seem to price around $125 like this one does now. It'd be nice if the decal was stronger. These little pig banks in stoneware always intrigue me. I just think they're cute. And this is a Fenton jade piece from the 1920s. You notice it's a little more translucent than the jadeite of other companies. This is so much fun and so appropriate for here because it's Little Abner, Daisy May, and the Dog Patch Band having a hoedown. That is a Marks windup. It's priced under $500, which means they've come down some. It's in great shape. Around the time of Victoria's Jubilee near the end of the 19th century, this broken column glassware was made as a pattern of early American press glass, and it has that crown-like top, which was simulated by Fenton and Fostoria in the 20th century. Martha Stewart in the 20th century taught us to stack these Victorian cake plates. This is from the 100th anniversary of the Kentucky Derby in 1974 and definitely would sell in the Louisville area. Here we go. This is some of the Fenton that these folks actually had in back stock from back when they were buying from Fenton in the late 1990s. And there are some really great fairy lamps. They're all priced at the original selling prices, which seem to be between about $49 and $70. And that seems to be about what they're selling for now. And then there's Fenton with that crown-like compote designed a century after that early American pressed glass pattern that we saw previously. Fenton's 1971 Old Colonial Virginia line was the beginning of them using black as a glass base for carnival glass, and it has some really striking effect, as you can see on these other pieces that were made in the 1970s with that iridescence over black. Lots of bells and novelties. Of course, Fenton was largely a giftware maker, but they also made somewhat practical items like these fairy lamps, which are now in such vogue. Here's some chocolate slag glass. Again, this is late 20th century based on late 19th century originals by Greentown and other companies. I like the rabbit on the nest. And we have some other fall shades as well. I just wanted to show you this sort of variety because Fenton made just about every color under the sun. I know we talk about them a lot, but it's because they were so popular and made so many pieces over such a long history. And that means that people who are collecting today actually remember seeing this in parents' and grandparents' homes, so it does have nostalgic appeal. Well, it's not exactly a lady leg lamp, but I suppose it's a deer leg lamp. And they're asking us not to rub it the wrong way, of course. Don't feel up the legs. This is priced, let's see here, at $2.49. It's an interesting vernacular, and so is this horn stool. This one has 1960s upholstery for certain. All right, there are a shelf full of woodworking planes here. The one closest is probably the most valuable. These look like they were ones that were used pretty hard. But certain ones, this is $30, can be 10 times this amount, so definitely something to not take lightly if you see them in a garage or in an estate sale. I just always go for these old coffee grinders. I've had one once. I always have this dream that I'm going to get another one to sell, but they have it at full retail. Nice pair of lamps with the marble or alabaster bases there. I've had pretty good luck selling those. Oh, this is not Whiting and Davis. No, you can tell by the cheaply made strap and the zipper. More tools, Star of David. We've kind of come to a dead end here. Let's see what's in the very back. Oh, you know these oilers, the Pennzoil in the back there. Guys like having those in garages. Ah, here's something important to show. These daisy churns are fakes. Look at the orangeness of the rust. That's because they left it out just long enough to look like maybe something had happened to it. The casting isn't good. You see a big seam there. It obviously has never been used. The paddles, and there we go, made in India. You know, I have to apologize to China. I like to say China a lot about the importing of fakes, but it's really a lot of places in Asia. And as long as people know what they're getting, that's one thing. But look at all these head vases. These are also brand new. Every single last one of them. The eyelashes are crooked, or the painting is poor. The porcelain is too white. That one in the front there. That one in the side there also way too white. The jewelry is too large compared to the new. If you really look at old stuff and compare it to new stuff, you'll know the difference. Now these do have some age. These are sack vases by Blanco. They were very, very popular at florists and as gifts in the 1980s, so you will see them at estate sales, and they're selling for $20 to $25 a piece now. I like egg scales. This one is priced as high as I would sell it though, but it is a popular one because of that big red fan shape. The Sunbeam is absolutely another fake, but the Carnival glass is real from about 1910. The Roseville is real, and then I like this decanter on the left. I think I'll take a look at him. He's priced at $30, but if he's German, he might be worth buying at that price. I think he could be pre-war. Sports teams, beer brands. The 1970s were full of these metal trash cans that are worth $30 to $40 now. I really am fond of the swirled vases on the right. Those are Niloke, that is mission ware. That clay is swirled through naturally. Those were the clay deposits that they found in Arkansas originally. They're just pretty. Well, I didn't find anything I could afford there really, but I did go around the corner and there's another place open, and they look like they might be a little more bargain focused. So we're going to take a look in here. This is King's Obsessions and Sales. Well, this already looks like more my place because their prices are great. And the other place was definitely top-end collector price. Here's a cookie kettle for $25. I think that's American Bisque with that tri-foot. Cookie churn, I believe, is McCoy. I like the buggy steps here. They're $15 for the pair. I have one I haven't been able to sell for a long time, but two of them, especially because these are shorter, these could be used as racks. I think somebody could do something cool with them. And these are the candle holders. I don't see the candle holders very often. 15 for the pear and the blue neek. I'll take those just because, you know, they're not great. They're kind of factory seconds. They're a little uneven, but they're supposed to be handkerchiefs, so why not? $30 for the oven base set is a good price for that many pieces. This is a very pretty piece of old glass. Victorian with that blown shape and the enameling. $12. Again, it's Bristol glass. A tough sell, but that's such a great price. I just have to do it. I think it's beautiful. This very bulbous cookie jar, it looks older. It's $10. It's got a big crack, but let's see if we can figure out who did this. Looks like a Midwestern pottery. I do not recognize the foot. This guy with his missing eyes. Terrace ceramics. Xenomorph is fascinated with the Amish moving into the part of Kentucky that he's in, so I think I have to get him this. This is Hull pottery, but they never paint the faces out well. It's actually Hull, H-U-L-L. That's cute. That looks Italian. And then Italy. The purple 1960s slag head on this. That's not bad. This sold for $3.50. Good deal. Here is a treasure craft line from the late 1970s, the Poppy line. You don't really see a lot of it. It was popular in its time. These colors were really in around 1979. You've got oranges and beiges still. It's earthy looking. $30 for the whole set is a great price. It's just a whole lot of pieces to deal with, but you know, I think I have to do it. We'll see how the condition is. Well, this is definitely more like it for a reseller. Now, where was this made? This looks like Porsgrunner, one of the smaller companies. 1976, and it is, oh, Desiree of Denmark. Forgotten about that company. We don't see a lot of their work. It's actually a nice design. They have the name of the designer right on it. Very white Motorola that needs some cleaning. Well, that was a lot of fun. I knew I'd find stuff in Cave City. You know, I hit it on a funny time. It's close to the end of the day and a lot of the shops are closed now. And so I'm pretty happy to find this little place. Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a quick break and thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying it, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Also, please do subscribe because then you can click that bell to be notified of future videos. We have membership packages. There's a couple of different levels. We appreciate the support of our super fans who help us do extra bonus content. You can check that out by hitting the join button below or clicking the link in the description. And lastly, we want to ask you to check out our new channel, the Antique Nomad Live. That's live with an exclamation point, where we're doing additional content of a live nature, hauls, sales, bonus stuff. We'll have a lot of fun there too. So check us out here on the Antique Nomad and also on the Antique Nomad Live. Now let's get back to this video. Well, our last stop this evening is the Peddler's Mall in Somerset, which is on the journey. Peddler's Malls say they're antique and flea market.
So all showcases are closed until in the morning. Thank you.
This is a very large place. I'll show you some of the highlights. It's not all going to be old because it's a vendor mall and there's sort of a hodgepodge. It's something you see in towns where there's maybe not enough old stuff or not enough population to sell just old. These are go along with Joni Dixie Dogwood dinnerware. You don't see the glassware very often. It's $30 for the set, which is not a bad price. Some old cast iron here. This is a cute little cabinet here. 1920s. American walnut, $89, not a bad price. Big old copper boiler in there, and a very nice Red Wing number 5 jug with the wing, priced at $129, which is about appropriate. $69 on the old boiler is not a bad deal either. Tribute to the king. Some Fenton pieces priced at their original selling prices. Back in the old days when Kentucky always voted for Democrats, these were glasses showing how much the Democrats had won by in 1956 at the Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner. Tom and Jerry said his custard glass, that would actually glow under a black light, probably because it's McKee and their custard usually does glow. This is a very sweet little face stopper bottle and dresser jar from the 1930s. This space has a whole bunch of Blue Ridge pottery made by the Southern Potteries Company in Tennessee. These were all hand painted. They did certain patterns like whirligig over and over. You'll see hand painted underglaze Southern Potteries. I always like the apple, and the prices on these are really good. Only $3 a piece for the little bowls, only $5 each for the dinner plates. So there's probably room for resellers in this. I have a bit of Blue Ridge currently already, or else I'd probably scarf some of that up. Poinsettia pattern.
No, not really.
This is Hall's Orange Poppy. You see the serving pieces a lot. You don't really see the plates and bowls and stuff too often. And then what you see more often, of course, is Autumn Leaf, and they have quite a lot of that here. Very popular pattern in these parts. I like this cabinet because it's actually very squarish and not terribly ornamented. If you were buying it really with the idea of display in mind, this would show everything off without taking away from it. It's priced at $3.25. And then these are Knowles, these cake plates with the tulips on the little risers there, from the 1930s also. At $75, this ring pattern quilt is one of the better deals I've seen on a quilt from the 1930s. This yellow teapot has a USA mark, and I can tell you that that is Shawnee because the A is slightly tilted to the right, almost like italicized. That may be hard to see, but if you compare it with other USA marks, you'll eventually get the feel. It's only $15. It's a perfectly nice piece for the price. Lefton's Holly from the 1960s. You can't really see the numbers on there, but that is a Lefton code. $20 on that. This is a cute old painted headboard. Very small, a single really. The thing is that a lot of people are turning these into benches now. They'll take the bottom part and cut it down a little bit and then actually build a box in there and put a mat in it, and you have a nice little settle bench. $83, that'd be a good project. Interesting use of old tin sheeting and roofing for a backdrop there. And then they have some old fence rail. You never know when you see a bunch of old ephemera like this what might be in there. We've got Historic San Antonio, Ebony Magazine, and then Ike, A Soldier's Crusade. And an old copy of Antiques Magazine showing Twawl on the front from 1946. So Twawl has been popular for a long time. There's definitely some older books in here. Modern Tomboy might be interesting to see what that means in today's parlance, especially. Oh, I've made this mistake before. It's a nice old office chair. It's oak. Office chairs are going up in value, so how should we price it? Well, we kind of forgot to decide. I've done that myself. It's a little embarrassing. They'll get a phone call eventually. I always like this wagon wheel wall pocket. I've had it with the mark before. This is an interesting piece. This is Louis Glass Company. It's Art Deco, and it's got this interesting handle applied to it. And they tended to be very low-waisted and then have really exaggerated shapes on top, and they're a little lighter weight. They are from the era, though. They're 1930s, 40s vintage. They have some of the political mugs. 2004, that's pretty late. But I guess Francoma did continue, or somebody got hold of these molds and continued to produce after. 2001. Now, if this said Gore Lieberman, it would be very valuable. They made 500 that said Gore Lieberman in case they were to be used at the inauguration, and of course that didn't work out. So then they sold them in their factory stores, and now they're very desirable and hard to find. They're getting close to closing. Let's see if we can get anything else on last grab clearance. Here's a picture of the Doughboys from some company, $35, World War I. It's interesting, I've never seen this many of these in a set together. These are American made. I usually see these two figures. I don't see the larger head vases. And I see in the back they've got the planter as well. None of them are marked with a maker name. And it's Kentucky, so crocks and jugs are sellers here, even from New Jersey. This is a good oil can because it has a rocket on it from about 1960. It's priced at $79. If this was before she passed, it would probably have value. Once someone dies and they make a bunch of tribute stuff, the tribute stuff almost never is worth anything in the long run. Everybody keeps the tribute stuff. $18 on the big Viking bowl in the middle. That's the most interesting piece. This goose is a Heisey piece. Sometimes, whoops, has the diamond H and sometimes not. Only $18. There was a time this would have sold for a lot more. Furniture seems well priced, only $22 on this little table. Tractor seats on milk cans for chairs. This was something that was very popular to do in the 1970s. Why? I'm not really sure. They're not all that comfortable. Raise your hand if you're sick of brand new tin signs that look like fake versions of old stuff that say things they never put on in the old days. This is a Bill Grandstaff print. Kentucky artists did these in the mid-70s. They were very popular here. You see them around quite a bit. They generally have very country-ish looking pieces that are vintage and collectible. And there's his signature. Tom's Peanut Jar for $55 is about the right price. There's a daisy churn number 40 that's real. I showed you some fakes earlier. And then the red football shape is priced at $150. Here's a neat men's bike back here. It's red, which is a great color. It's a Columbia Thunderbolt. It's got white walls. It's pretty cool. It's also got a 1954 New Hampshire plate out of a cereal box. This is what these were intended for, these little license plates to put on the back of your bike. It looks like it's got a newer seat. It may have had some restoration, but it's got the front light. It has a lot of features that you really want on these, and that's why it's priced at $325. But in the right place, it would sell for that. Old screen doors sell. It's hard to find them in good shape when they have this spindling like this. Okay, all I've got to say about this booth is seriously, and look at the sign. Enter at your own risk. Help. Ask up front. Mall is not responsible for any injuries, and yet the mall is letting the dealer leave the space in this condition. So I would beg to say that if somebody fell and hurt themselves in here, a lawyer would probably say that the mall is responsible for this, as well as the person who has this space. If you are selling in the real world, remember you have to look out for the safety of your customers. Really, it's true even if you're selling online. If you sell somebody something and it shorts out right away and burns their house down, you might have a problem. So think about that when you're considering the type of wares you want to sell. Here's a later haul with the gloss. The gloss was not so successful as the matte glazes that they could not make after 1950 because the replacement factory after their fire and explosion could not do the other glazes. So they started to restyle. This is a middle period gloss, the little pheasant vase. And then they just went in a completely different direction and made really wild, funky, cool 50s stuff with that glaze, like Mr. Poodle here. Here's a very pretty fish fairy lamp from Fenton, $69.50. That's about what it would have sold for new. Custard glass bell there for $60, and a lot of the little animals. Well, it's time for them to close and time for me to hit the road, but I found a couple of really interesting and unusual things in this Peddler's Mall, and I'll show you that in the haul just in a moment here. Well, considering I was really just traveling to get to my appraisal fair and made a few stops along the way, I got a pretty decent little haul out of all of this, so let's take a look. I think some of this stuff's pretty fun, and the prices were certainly fine. This is Sasha Brostoff. It's $8 on the tag. It should sell for probably about $20. It's an ashtray, and it's the enamelware with the grapes. You see his signature in the lower left. People are liking ashtrays, and this one was in good condition. Behind is this cute little planter. This is a donkey from Italy from about 1970 with the spatter, and he was only $5. Someone's going to think that's sweet. And then I got a big bunch of Treasure Craft kitchenware pieces here in the poppy pattern. This pattern came out in the late 70s. You can probably tell because it's got that earth tone quality, and you've got orange and teals, and these colors were very popular right around 1978-9 into the early 80s, which is when this was made. This pattern really helped save the company and keep them going until they got into their thriving years as dinnerware makers in the 1980s. And it's nice to have the Lazy Susan with all the pieces. The canister set was $15, which is less than $4 per canister, and the Lazy Susan was $15 for the whole set. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Now this thing is fun. It's hand-carved. I wasn't expecting to find hand-carved tiki in Kentucky, but it's there, and it is signed by somebody named FLEA, who I don't believe is famous, but it doesn't matter. It's nice to know who did it. 1960s or 70s Polynesian style, and he was only priced at 10. I should get 30 for him. This green bowl here is a Hazel Atlas 1930s mixing bowl, and it's priced at 6, should sell for about 18 to 20. It is uranium glass, so I suspect it'll go pretty fast. These are buggy steps. These are 100 years old at least. Somebody painted them red at some point in their history. People like to screw those into walls and make racks out of them, and the fact that there's two means that is possible with this set, so I went ahead and bought them for $15. This custard chamber stick is Fenton. It is signed George S. So I'm curious to see who that is in terms of the pantheon of Fenton painters, because that's starting to make a difference in value. In any event, it is custard. It will glow under a black light. There's only one because it's a chamber stick, so you only carried one at a time. It was $24, but with the market the way it is, I think I'll be able to double on that. There is a lovely piece of Bristol glass. I don't buy much Bristol. It's Victorian. It's 120 years old. But I just thought the pattern was really neat. The reason I don't buy more of it is because if it's just sort of flowers painted on it, they seem to sit a long time. But this had a really nice, strong design and good color and was in amazing condition. The 4 tumblers here were $3 each. I've sold these before for about $8 a piece in Florida. I like that modern, it's sort of a lark that has been stylized. Studebaker used that in their advertising, and whoever did these dishes must have thought that was a cool shape and copied them on dishware and tumblers. This is from Indiana, and it shows the old school race cars. And since I sell near Indiana, I figured I could probably sell it better than they could, and the old school race car will make a difference. I should get about $8 for that. I think it costs $3 something. These are Viking glass, but they're candle holders, and they're handkerchief shape, and you don't really see these very often. That's the blue neak color, and they were $15 for the pair. Only $2 for the green lotus-shaped Viking glass bowl, so that was cheap enough. Here is a very cute bathing beauty. She's actually more of a seafarer, Japanese from about 1930. And she's holding her life ring. Pretty cute face. She was $15. I imagine she'll sell for about $35. And then pulling back here, we have a few unusual things. These are Hallmark hobo notes from the early 70s. And they talk about things like, I couldn't write you because my electricity was cut off. So it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek, like, I have good excuses not to correspond more regularly, but I'm sorry, and here's a note. I just thought that the graphics were cute. It's of an era. I figure it'll sell for about 10. This is Manhattan, my pattern of depression glass, and if I can't get my friend who I lent my bowl to give it back, then I've got one. Otherwise, I'll put $25 on this. It was $12.99. Might end up just being a gift to her for Christmas so I can have mine back. This one is a nice little shell piece. It's got the ashtray, which is interesting, and then it's also a napkin or letter holder, kind of a strange combination of things. Made offshore, I believe. The early ones of these would have been made in England, but this one would have been made in the Philippines in all likelihood, probably about 1970, but they sell, and it was only $6. This very strange device in the foreground is a Scholl's arch fitter. So back in the old days when you really had trouble getting shoes to fit right and they were hard to break in, you could actually have this done so that it would fit your arch exactly. That's why Dr. Scholl's ended up being very famous and is still a brand that we know today, because he really was a doctor and he really did try to do things that would help people have better foot health. This is from about 1900. I paid $35. I can't find any comp on it anywhere. When I see similar devices, they seem to be selling in the $100 plus range, which is my guess. And then this, I got a discount on this, so it was less than $25. but it was just cool. It's definitely 70s, the rainbow trading post. Oh, and you can see my wadded up receipt in the back. I thought this was really neat. It's definitely older, and the colors are fun, and someone will just like that for some reason. I found it likable, and if I find something likable, I usually get it. Well, gosh, you know, this whole trip was really quite likable. I didn't really know where I was going to stop today. I can't wait to get to the appraisal fair in Appalachia. I'm really excited to see what people up there have. I have a hunch there's going to be some needled stuff that will really surprise us all. In the meantime, these were some fun surprises too. Thanks for joining me for this. Check me out on the social media in the description below. Check out the links in the description for various things like memberships and benefits and early access to videos. Check out my live channel. We've got lots going on here. My website, theantiquenomad.com. You can get information about appraisals and things there. So lots of things to do, lots of things I need to go do. So I'll see you again soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.